Has civilian executive Michael Cox been caught in yet another lie? This and more in today's video. Hello, and welcome back, roommates, to another titillating edition of Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, we are not law enforcement, we are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including little shoulder action there. The People's Princess Laura Kanaka, who politely requested some emails, and I guess in doing so, the BPD accidentally unearthed Toxic's entire secret fanfic archive titled I Don't Know Her. The Karen Reed Chronicles. So this all kicked off yesterday when Laura posted this update she received about her records request. So I guess she made about 10. One that was related to Cox, and the other one related to Gregory Long, who was the acting commissioner prior to Cox's taking office. She still hasn't received them, but there is something else that she was able to share, which we'll get into in 1 second. So fast forward a couple hours later, after Sis told us, hey, hang tight, because I got some goodies to share with you later, and oh boy, was it good. For someone that never had said those words together, Commissioner Michael Cox sure has a ton of emails about Karen Reed. In fact, 902 documents, 14,555 pages. But you have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Is that right, Commissioner Cox? So I guess the time range that she gave was pretty wide, to be fair. But still, if you're going on public record saying, hey, I've never even said the words, or the name rather, Karen Reed, and I have no idea who Kelly Dever is, and then it turns out, lo and behold, sometime between August 15th, 2022 and October 29th, 2025, you had mentioned the name Karen Reed, R-E-A-D, also R-E-E-D, and R-E-I-D, because we know that they like to, change up the spelling sometimes in case, God forbid somebody, wants a little police transparency, or civilian executive transparency. And this, again, search resulted in 902 documents totaling 14,555 pages. Like, why isn't this making headline news today? Because we know some major news network has the budget to cough up what this is going to cost. Are we all just living in Delulu land over here, or is it really much to do about nothing?
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. I have an organization full of over 3,000 people, and we support all our folks. And the reality is that, I get information passed on, whether people are high or low, and I encourage everyone, right? And if you're going to work here and you belong here, then we're going to encourage you. I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Reed. It had nothing to do with Karen Reed. No discussion about
Did you tell Officer Dever to do the right thing?
I didn't know she was even associated with that case. So, I don't know. I was struck, like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed race? I never have said those words together. And so the fact is, it's much to do about nothing.
I mean, if that's the hill you want to die on, you might as well just add another bead to your rosary of bullshit, my guy. But hey, who knows? Maybe the ghost of Shakespeare possessed his inbox and seemingly created 14,555 pages worth of Karen Reed. Some might call that a little obsessive. To be that obsessed with somebody that you apparently have nothing to do with. In a case, as you've stated previously, is quote over. And it looks like after combining all 7 of her requests, the final rate that we're locking in on is $7.5 thousand. Holy mother-in-law Mary, full of grace and overdraft fees, I'll tell ya. The cost estimate to produce these records is approximately $6,000. BPD combined 7 of my requests into one response and presented me with the 7.5K fee estimate for the 7 requests. I mean, that's almost the equivalent of what my sister just paid to like redo her floors. That's obscene. I can't see any good reason for combining multiple requests except maybe to scare me with such a high price tag. Probably to price you out, girl. That's one hell of a Black Friday bundle, though. If you're gonna charge $7,500, that better include the director's cut, the audiobook version, and or a signed headshot by Cox himself. Otherwise, too much. Too much. So now, naturally, folks are like, well, hey, let's start a fundraiser because that's what, you do now, right? You start a give, send, grift. But this is for an actual purpose other than the mere absurdity in thinking that you're setting up a foundation to help witnesses who also feel harassed and intimidated. So, as one does, and whilst I would totally throw a couple of coins into that hat, Laura's got a different game plan. So she says, for those suggesting a fund, something to consider. However, here's my current action plan with BPD. I have asked BPD to separate the 7 and prioritize the ones with the smaller volumes of responsive records, like the 2 I'm waiting to get any moment. So I'm really excited to see what those 2 requests are. Particularly, I have been able to successfully work with a records team previously to better understand the contents of responsive records. So it seems like based on all of these efforts that are being made by all of these amazing truth-seeking warriors like Laura, like Corey, is that the more detailed you can get and narrow in the scope of what you're looking for, the easier and faster it is for them to produce it. And it seems like, some of them have had decent experiences with them, so it's like you don't necessarily want to slag off their records request team, but at the same time it's like if you're not doing what you're supposed to do in a timely manner, then that, you're gonna get sued. For example, on a prior request, I was able to learn that the majority of responsive records were related to an email distribution list and not direct correspondence, which is interesting. In this case, I'd like to better understand if any of the Cox or Karen Reed records are Google News alerts or something of the like. This request is currently on pause while BPD works on producing the smaller request. And that is, a good point too, because it's similarly thinking about Jen McCabe and how she had didn't she Google her name? I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, or John O'Keefe, like a day or two after, or the days following Karen Reed's initial arrest. But after that, I'd like to get responses to the 3 outstanding. These are all calendar related, which I'm sure Alan Jackson would love to access as well, and could also help narrow scope on the other larger requests that are currently on hold. So yeah, I mean, I'd be curious if he had certain alerts set up. It's like, well, if you never said those words together, why would you be so interested and invested in this case? That in your eyes is already closed. News networks that have a budget to give, probably, I don't know how that works, but they're journalists to make these public records requests and pay the people they need to pay to access them. Like, I don't know, Fox, the Boston Globe. I mean, just think about what kind of story that would make, what kind of headline that would create. Especially with Wu just being reelected and her being the one to drag Coxix back from Michigan, where he's police chief, and appoint him as her little political puppet, I guess, inside the BPD. So we will stand by and wait with bated breath as more updates trickle in drips and drabs, but make sure you follow Laura on the Twitter X's for all things Cox related when it comes to at least where these record requests are concerned. Her link to her Twitter X profile is in my show notes below. Meanwhile, just like Lazarus, Uncle Grandpa hath risen from whatever mildew-covered crawl space I guess he's been hiding in for the last 8 days to canonize Aiden Carney into sainthood, which must be absolutely driving all the aunties up a wall because they already feel like Turtle Boy has an inflated ego. And this just gives confirmation from the guy who's supposed to be special prosecting him that he believes and granting him with the title of, I guess, the Pope's highest honor and being a saint. So Saint Turtle Boy, warrior and protector of the First Amendment, as rightfully so. So, in reading Bettero's encomiums to Saint Carney, one is irresistibly reminded of Oscar Wilde's comment on the death of Little Nell, the virtuous child in Charles Dickens' The Old Curiosity Shop. One must have a heart of stone not to laugh. The man just went full-on AP English exam on us right now, folks. He's trying to one-up Bettero because Bettero called dibs on 1984. Uncle Grandpa's like, well, now I gotta go through my collection of books and see what I can pull out of the library. What's next, War and Peace? The Commonwealth has had occasion to respond to such drivel in the past. You watch your whore mouth, sir. And with reluctance now does so again. Rather than reinvent the wheel, as the kids say, it quotes liberally from its response. Are you saying you quote, or do you identify as now in its response to the defendant's previous motion to dismiss? I mean, he couldn't even be bothered to capitalize the M and D in that phrasing, so he's literally like, the reason why I didn't respond by the deadline, which was already extended anyways, by the way, because this made me laugh out loud. You didn't even have the common courtesy to email Bettero or Bradle and say, hey guys, this is going to come to you a little bit later than we initially agreed upon. And when you finally respond, half of this motion is just you copying and pasting what you've already written. Probably, like, what the heck is this? Did you forget to add more ink? Like, was that redacted? We've all seen what is that? And then the other half is you taking shots at Bettero. If you had a problem with his motion to dismiss, that's what the opposition is for, my guy, is for you to follow up and say, here's my argument as to why these charges should not be dismissed. Why this case should not be dismissed. You write that in your argument. You don't just waste everybody's time stomping on somebody's rights, constitutional rights, only to copy and paste what you've already written and said previously. So this actually all kicked off last night when one Ted Daniel had tweeted that Uncle Grandpa had responded to, I guess, a question or a couple of questions he had regarding Cosgrove's initiatives to push this phone search of Karen Reed and Turtle Boy and see if he can get them in another, oh, I gotcha moment of them colluding to intimidate witnesses. For the first time, Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove responded directly to 25 Investigates by email. So you still clearly have access to your email, sir, because you were able to get back to Ted Daniel in a timely manner. But God forbid you actually do your job and what the county's paying you to do, but all right. Stating that any suggestion that his ongoing investigation of Reed is an act of retribution is unfounded public relations spin. During the Reed trial, before any verdict, I filed a memorandum in another case in which I explicitly advised the court that I considered the conspiracy investigation to remain open, Cosgrove wrote. He has all fingers attached because he was able to type it out. So there you go. So this in turn led Turtle Boy to take notice and tweet out that, hey, you've got time to hit Ted Daniel back, but not my attorneys. Oh, and by the way, we're supposed to have a hearing, next Friday. And it's Thanksgiving week. And I guess that touched a nerve, or he saw it, or he was alerted to it. I don't know how that works. Maybe Life Alert made the little dingy noise and said, oh, hey, Turtle Boy, he's got his notifications enabled for Turtle Boy tweets. I don't know. But at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like a drunk ex on Thanksgiving Eve, Uncle Grandpa finally emails his response to the mega motion. We were emailed Robert Cosgrove's response to our motion to dismiss at 11:30 last night. He did not ask for an extension after already getting a 3-week extension, but felt fine passing it in 8 days late with 0 consequences. People are going to keep taking advantage of the system if they know they're never going to get any comeuppance from it. To make matters worse, he filed this the day before Thanksgiving, when he knew me, my legal defense team, would be planning time with our families for the holiday, thus giving us even less time to read it and prepare, as well as the judge. And now, because Uncle Grandpa decided that time is just a social construct, it looks like Turtle Boy's hearing has been officially yeeted into a status hearing, which, I mean, hey, we could always use more of that, right? On that date, counsel should be prepared to address the following issues: the status and potential impact of any motions currently under advisement, which is like everything, man. Like outstanding discovery, which is everything, man. And or discovery disputes, scheduling of in-person hearings on pending motions and or additional anticipated motion, potential joinder motions, potential trial dates, like we'll ever get one of those. Such hearing will be held via Zoom, though. So there's still going to be a hearing next week at 2:15. It'll be available on Zoom. No password required, so it will be available and open to the public, and I'm sure many people are going to be streaming it as well. And nobody, thankfully, needs to appear in person, so that'll save some people gas money, and obviously better row from crossing state lines. But the more this continues to go on, this feels like a courtroom drama version of Groundhog Day. It's just status conferences over and over again of like, hey, you meet just to set another date for another status conference, and nothing ever gets accomplished. The money can't be that good. December is coming. Winter is coming. Don't you want to head down south and migrate with the rest of the elderly folk? Catch whatever remaining tan you can before it's lights out for good? Not to be dark, but I'm just saying, you're not doing it for your career. Your career's over. Political reasons. What's the motivation? Help me understand. But going back to this motion, before we round things out here, the thing that really takes me out with it is the actual argument itself. Because here he's arguing, having previously brought and fully litigated a McCarthy-Odell motion, the defendant has no right to bring a renewed attack on grand jury proceedings already upheld by this court. But that's exactly what you're doing by wanting to search Karen Reed's phones again. The grand jury already decided, hey, we have nothing here to indict them on. So that's exactly what you're doing. And you have the audacity to argue that. Like, that's the basis for your argument? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But anyways, I'm gonna end this video by sending you to my favorite gratitude meditation. It's 5 minutes or so long. It's this guy, Ian Stanley, who was a mentor of mine when I was getting started in copywriting and email marketing years ago. And it just has helped me kind of shift perspectives into, sometimes I get overly ambitious sometimes, as you guys know, and this kind of helps me stay grounded and present and just think about, you know, all of the things, all of the opportunities I have and what I should be grateful for right now in the moment. And, you know, that all starts with you guys. So until next time, I'm gonna sing you that way.